Welcome back to A Late Show, everybody. My next guest tonight has spent his career in national security and served as the director of the CIA from 2013 to 2017. He has just written a new memoir, Undaunted, My Fight Against America's Enemies at Home and Abroad. Please welcome to A Late Show, Director John Brennan. Director, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Stephen, for the invitation. Looking forward to the discussion.
As am I. Before we get to talk about the book, I want to ask you about something that was just revealed today. You spent your career trying to help make this country and the citizens here safe. Today, 13 men were charged with plotting to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer and put her on trial for treason and attack the state capitol to overthrow the Michigan government. How do you account for the emergence of anti-government militia? When you were the CIA director, did you have any sense from the intelligence that you saw that this was a growing problem in the United States?
Well, absolutely. Even though it wasn't the area of CIA focus, I know that the FBI was very concerned about the growth of these militia groups, white supremacist groups, the ones that try to blame foreign influences as well as government oversight for any of their problems. They really are hyper-nativists who are reacting now to what they perceive as government intervention in their lives. And it really is quite disturbing. And I think the FBI has their hands full in terms of dealing with them.
The President of the United States will sometimes retweet these nativist organizations or praise them. Is that itself a threat to our security?
Absolutely. What a President of the United States says matters, and it resonates far and wide. And Donald Trump's failure to denounce these groups in no uncertain terms has just fueled their rise. And unfortunately, I see very, similarities between what's happening here in this country and what happened in terms of the rise of Nazism in Germany for World War II. The strength of the Aryan nation and trying to, again, rid the society of their, these influences. So these are groups that have no sense of social responsibility or no sense of allegiance to anybody other than themselves and the ones who are aligned with their views, including Donald Trump.
What would you say, and I know this is a fairly broad question, but what would you say are the threats to our national security on the near term, sort of middle term, and then on far term?
I think the near term, there's no question that the next 100 days is a very unsettled period and a fraught period for the United States. What Donald Trump might do in terms of trying to steal the election, clearly the polls indicate he's going to go down to defeat, and how he exercises the powers of the presidency before the election, as well as after the election when he's a lame duck. I really am quite concerned about what he might resort to and do during that period of time.
Like, for instance, like when he says, like in the debates, when he's saying, stand back and stand by.
Absolutely. And his refusal to acknowledge that he's going to accept the results of the election. I think this is a very dangerous time. And it's clear that Donald Trump will resort to any tactic. I think he has demonstrated time and time again, he has no respect for the rule of law and for principles in this country. So, and the fact that the Republicans are just bowing to his every whim really makes me very concerned. In the medium term, I think Joe Biden is going to have his hands full when he takes over in January in terms of addressing all of the domestic challenges we face, COVID, the economic downturn, social injustice, the tensions that we're talking about here within the country, the polarization that has taken place under Donald Trump. So I think 2021 is going to be a challenge for Joe Biden on the domestic front as well as on the international front. He's going to have to repair those alliances and partnerships that really helped to strengthen our national security over the last 75 years. He also is going to have to send an unmistakable signal to adversaries that Trump is gone. And so Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-un, and others really have to take note that Joe Biden is a different president than Donald Trump. Over the longer term, climate change, the impact on our weather, and how that's going to, lead to the rise of the oceans and the encroachment on coastal communities and migration flows, and how urban centers are going to be overwhelmed. The cyber realm, digital domain, genetic engineering. There are just so many longer term issues that while we're so obsessed with these, political problems at home, we're not taking the time and we're not dedicating the effort and the resources to address what I think is going to be the challenges for the next generations of Americans.
Because while we're all fighting each other here, we're not being aware of the wave that's coming over the horizon of these other challenges.
Yeah, we're ignoring it, and we're not doing what is necessary because we're not going to be able to reverse the impact of climate change overnight. This is really going to take a concerted, determined effort over the long term. That the United States has to be the world leader that we once were, and I think will soon be once Joe Biden becomes president.
We have to take a quick break, but stick around, everybody. We'll be right back with more from the author of Undaunted, former CIA Director John Brennan.